Jason lived a quiet and simple life in a small town. He worked at a local hardware store, where he helped customers find tools and supplies they needed for their homes and gardens. Every day, Jason followed the same routine. He woke up early, went to work, came back home, cooked his dinner, and then watched the news or read a book before going to sleep. His life was peaceful, but lonely. He didn't have many friends, and he often felt like something was missing. One chilly autumn morning, Jason decided to go to a small cafe near the store before work. He liked the place because it was quiet and cozy. The cafe had big windows that let in soft sunlight, wooden tables, and the smell of fresh coffee and baked bread. Jason usually ordered a simple black coffee and a muffin. He liked to sit by the window and watch people passing by on the street. That day, while Jason was sitting at his usual table, he noticed a woman enter the cafe. She was young and had a calm but confident way of walking. Her skin had a soft teal-blue shade that looked unusual but beautiful in the sunlight. Jason thought she looked different from other people in the town. She had a natural beauty that was gentle but also strong. Her eyes were bright and curious. She carried herself with a quiet confidence that caught Jason's attention. The woman ordered a cup of tea and looked around for a place to sit. The cafe was busy, but there was one free seat at Jason's table. She walked toward him and asked politely if she could join him. Jason smiled and said yes. He was a little nervous because he didn't often talk to strangers. But something about her made him feel comfortable. Her name was Sarah, she introduced herself with a soft voice and a warm smile. They started talking about simple things at first: the weather, the town, and the cafe's food. Sarah seemed very interested in Jason's life. She asked questions about his work, his family, and what he liked to do for fun. Jason was surprised, because most people didn't seem to care about those things. He felt happy to have someone listen to him. As the days passed, Jason and Sarah met more often at the cafe. Their conversations grew deeper. Sarah shared stories about her travels and the interesting people she had met. Jason talked about his childhood and dreams. They laughed together, and Jason felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. But Sarah kept many things to herself. She never talked about her real job or why she was in the town. In fact, Sarah was an undercover FBI agent. She was working on a secret investigation about a criminal group that was operating nearby. Sarah's job was to gather information without anyone knowing her true identity. Jason had no idea that the woman he was getting close to was part of such a serious and dangerous world. He trusted her completely. Sarah was careful to keep her work hidden. She didn't want Jason to get involved or to be scared. But as they spent time together, Sarah's feelings for Jason grew stronger. She admired his kindness and honesty. One evening, Jason invited Sarah to a small local festival. The town was decorated with colorful lights, and there were music and food stalls everywhere. People were laughing, dancing, and enjoying the night. Jason felt proud to share this part of his life with Sarah. He showed her the best food stalls and introduced her to some of his neighbors. Sarah smiled and joined in the fun. But she was also alert. She watched the crowd carefully, looking for anyone suspicious. She knew that the criminals she was investigating might be nearby. Jason noticed her serious side but thought she was just shy or careful because she was new to the town. During the festival, Jason and Sarah walked near the river, where small boats floated with candles. The soft light reflected on Sarah's teal-blue skin, making her look almost magical. Jason wanted to hold her hand, but waited for the right moment. Sarah felt happy, but nervous. She wanted to be close to Jason, but the secret she carried was heavy. The night ended with a quiet walk back to their cars. They promised to meet again soon. Jason felt that meeting Sarah was a turning point in his life. For the first time, he believed that good things could happen to him. Sarah left with a smile, but also a heavy heart. Knowing that her real work was just beginning, and that Jason's life might change because of it. In the days that followed, Jason found himself thinking about Sarah often. He looked forward to their next meeting. He told his coworkers about the interesting woman he was seeing, but he kept the details simple. He didn't want to scare anyone or seem too excited. Sarah's mystery only made him more curious. What Jason did not know was that Sarah was carefully collecting information about people involved in illegal activities in the town. Her mission was dangerous, and every step she took had to be perfect. She had to balance her work and her feelings for Jason, which was not easy at the same time. Jason started to notice small things that didn't make sense. Sometimes he saw a man watching him from a distance. He received strange phone calls with no one speaking on the other end. He felt like someone was following him, but he didn't know why. Jason was confused and a little scared. He tried to tell Sarah about these things, but she told him to stay calm and not to worry. She promised to protect him. Jason wanted to believe her, but the fear inside him was growing. The story of Jason and Sarah was just beginning. What seemed like a simple chance meeting was actually the start of a complex and dangerous journey. Jason was about to learn that the woman he trusted had a secret that could change everything. But for now, he enjoyed their time together, unaware of the trouble that was coming. Jason's life was changing in ways he did not understand yet. Sarah was still meeting him regularly at the cafe. Their conversations grew more personal, and Jason felt happier than he had in years. He enjoyed her company and the way she listened to him, but behind Sarah's warm smile was a secret she could not share. She was an FBI agent working undercover to stop a dangerous group involved in illegal activities. Sarah's job was very important. The criminals she was investigating had been causing problems in the town for a long time. They were involved in smuggling and other crimes that hurt many people. The FBI had sent Sarah to gather information and help bring them to justice. To do this, she had to pretend to be someone else. That was why she had told Jason very little about herself. She had to keep her true work secret. Jason did not know any of this. Thought Sarah was just a kind and interesting woman who enjoyed talking with him. He had no idea that by being close to her, he was slowly becoming part of a dangerous story. Sarah was careful not to put him in harm's way. But sometimes, it was difficult to keep him safe. One day, Jason received a strange phone call. The voice on the other end was quiet and unclear. Jason could hear a few words, but not the full message. It made him nervous. He told Sarah about the call, hoping she would explain it. Sarah told him to stay calm and that everything was probably fine. But inside, she was worried. This call could mean that the criminals had started to notice something was wrong. Sarah's investigation required her to meet with other agents and watch people who might be involved. She had to attend secret meetings and collect evidence without being seen. At times she looked tired and distracted when she was with Jason. He wondered what was going on, but did not want to ask. Too many questions. Jason noticed a man standing across the street one afternoon. The man was watching him carefully. Jason felt uneasy, but did not say anything to Sarah right away. He was afraid of what might happen if he did. Sarah saw Jason's worried face and tried to comfort him. She told him she was there to protect him and that he should not be afraid. Jason wanted to believe her, but the strange feelings in his heart grew stronger. Despite the dangers, Sarah and Jason kept meeting. Sarah wanted to enjoy the moments they had together because she knew her. Work was dangerous and could change everything. They shared small joys like walking in the park, eating at new restaurants, and watching movies. Jason felt hope again, but he also sensed that something was not right. Sarah had to be very careful. The criminals she was investigating were smart and always watching for signs of trouble. They had many people working for them in the town. They found out that Sarah was an FBI agent. They could harm her or anyone close to her. That was why she kept her distance when Jason talked about his worries. One evening, Tara received an urgent message from her FBI team. The criminals were planning something big, and she needed to act quickly. She could not tell Jason the details, but she promised to keep him safe. Jason wanted to help, but Sarah told him to stay out of it for his own protection. The next few days were tense. Sarah spent more time working and less time with Jason. He missed her, but understood that something important was happening. He tried to stay positive and focused on his daily life, but the strange phone calls and the man watching him did not stop. Jason began to feel trapped in a world he did not understand. One afternoon, Sarah took Jason to a quiet cafe outside town. She wanted to talk to him about safety. She explained that some people were watching him because of the work she was doing. Jason was shocked and scared. He did not know how to react. Sarah reassured him that she would do everything to protect him and that he should not talk to anyone about her real job. Jason felt overwhelmed by the secret he had just learned. He realized that the woman he trusted was living a double life. Sarah's work was not just a job, it was a mission to keep the town safe. Jason wanted to be brave but also worried about the danger they both faced. Meanwhile, Sarah continued her investigation. She collected evidence against the criminals and reported everything to her team. The pressure was high, but she was determined to finish her mission. Her feelings for Jason grew stronger, but she knew that love was difficult when secrets were involved. As Sarah worked, Jason tried to understand the new reality around him. He talked to a few close friends, but kept Sarah's secret safe. He felt lonely, but also proud that he was helping someone who was trying to do good. Jason promised himself to stay strong and to trust Sarah, even when things became hard. The story of Jason and Sarah became more complex. What had started as a simple meeting at a cafe was now part of a bigger plan to stop crime in the town. Jason was learning that life could change suddenly. Sometimes people carried heavy burdens behind their smiles. In the days ahead, Jason would face new challenges. He would have to decide whom to trust and how to stay safe. Sarah would continue her secret work, balancing danger and hope. Together, they were caught in a story of trust, fear, and courage. For now, Jason still hoped for a peaceful life with Sarah, unaware of the full danger waiting around the corner. The truth about their connection was deeper than he could imagine, and the next steps in their story would test them both. Jason's world changed completely, one quiet afternoon. He was at home when he found something that shocked him deeply. It was a small folder hidden inside one of Sarah's bags when she left it on the kitchen table. Curiosity made him open it. Inside, he saw papers with the letters FBI printed clearly. There were photos of people, maps, and notes written in a way he didn't understand at first. His heart started beating fast as he realized Sarah was not who she said she was. She was an FBI agent working undercover. At first, Jason felt confused. Why had Sarah kept such a big secret? Why had she lied to him? He thought about all the times she said she was new in town or had to leave early for work. Now it all made sense, but it also scared him. Wondered if he was in danger just by knowing her. Jason was afraid of what might happen next. He tried to put the folder back without disturbing anything, but the secret was now heavy on his mind. He couldn't stop thinking about Sarah's real job and the criminals she was chasing. He wanted to talk to her but did not know how to start. When Sarah returned home that evening, Jason waited for her in the living room. "Sarah," said quietly, "I found this folder. I know you are with the FBI." Sarah looked surprised but calm. She sat down and told Jason the truth. She explained that she had to keep her job secret to protect herself and the people she cared about. She said she never wanted to hurt Jason or put him in danger. She admitted that her feelings for him were real, but her work was complicated. Jason listened carefully. He was angry but also understood the risks Sarah faced every day. She had to hide many things from him to keep him safe. They talked late into the night. Sarah promised to be more honest when she could and to protect Jason at all costs. But Jason also realized that now he was part of something bigger. He was no longer just a man living a quiet life. His name and connection to Sarah could make him a target for the criminals. Fear settled deep inside him. The next days were filled with nervous moments. Jason watched the people around him more closely. He noticed strangers in his neighborhood and cars parked too long near his home. He tried to keep calm, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Sarah stayed close, helping him stay safe and telling him what to do if anything suspicious happened. One day Jason received a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was low and threatening. They warned him to stop asking questions or face the consequences. Jason hung up quickly and told Sarah right away. She called her team and increased their protection around him. But glad he had Sarah on his side. Despite the danger, Jason tried to keep his normal life. He went to work, helped customers, and spent time with his few friends. But inside, he felt a battle between fear and hope. He hoped the danger would pass soon and that Sarah's mission would succeed. Sarah's work continued with great care. She met with other agents, shared information, and followed the criminals closely. Every step was dangerous, and one wrong move could ruin everything. She wanted to finish the case quickly to keep Jason safe. But the criminals were smart and had many helpers. One afternoon, the tension reached a new level. The criminals discovered that someone was helping the FBI. They became suspicious and started asking questions. Sarah knew this was the most dangerous part of her work. She had to act fast to protect Jason and the team. Jason noticed changes too. His phone was tapped, and he found small cameras near his house. The feeling of being watched became almost constant. Sarah taught him how to stay safe, to avoid certain places, to check his surroundings, and to always have someone with him. Their relationship faced new challenges. Jason wanted to support Sarah, but sometimes he felt powerless. He wanted to protect himself and her, but the danger was bigger than he had imagined. She knew that if the criminals caught Jason, it would be a disaster. One evening, Sarah took Jason to a safe house far from town. It was a quiet place with strong security. They stayed there for several days while the FBI prepared the next move against the criminals. Jason was nervous but felt safer. He began to understand the seriousness of the situation and the strength Sarah needed to fight for justice. During their time at the safe house, Jason and Sarah talked about their future. Sarah wanted to believe that after the case they could have a normal life together. Jason hoped for the same but was afraid the danger would never end. They promised to trust each other no matter what happened. The story was no longer just about a simple man and a mysterious woman. It had become a tale of courage, trust, and the fight between good and evil. Jason and Sarah were now connected. By more than love, they were partners in a difficult journey. But the criminals were not going to give up easily. The next steps would be the hardest yet. Jason's life was at risk, and Sarah had to balance her dangerous job with her feelings for him. The truth was out, and there was no turning back. Jason was in trouble, but he was not alone. Sarah was there to fight for him and for justice. Jason's life took a sharp turn toward danger, one that he never expected. The criminals Sarah was investigating had started to notice him more. One evening, as Jason walked home from the store, two men stopped him on the street. Faces were hard, and their voices were cold. "Listen carefully," one man said. "You're too close to things you don't understand. Stay away from Sarah, or you'll face trouble." Jason's heart pounded in fear. He knew these were serious threats, but he did not know what to do. Jason went straight to Sarah and told her what happened. She was deeply worried. This was the moment she feared most, that Jason would be directly threatened because of her work. Sarah promised to protect him, but she also knew the danger was growing. The FBI increased Jason's protection, assigned officers to watch over him during the day and night. Jason felt safer, but also trapped. His simple life was gone, replaced by fear and constant caution. He missed the quiet days before Sarah came into his life. Sarah worked harder than ever. She planned secret meetings with her team to gather the last pieces of evidence against the criminals. She knew this was the final stage of the investigation, but it was also the most dangerous. One wrong step could ruin everything and put Jason in grave danger. Despite the risks, Jason wanted to support Sarah. He understood the importance of her mission and believed in what she was doing. Sometimes they talked about running away too, a different place, far from the criminals in danger. But Sarah knew she could not leave her work unfinished. Jason wanted to face the truth rather than hide. The criminals, feeling pressure, became more aggressive. They sent more threats to Jason, and strange things happened near his home. His car was scratched, and his phone was hacked. Jason was scared, but he refused to give in to fear. One night, Sarah came to Jason's house with serious news. The criminals had found out that Jason was cooperating with the FBI. They were planning to confront him again, this time with more force. Sarah told Jason he had to stay in a safe house until the FBI could arrest the criminals. Jason packed a small bag, feeling the weight of the situation. Leaving his home felt like losing a part of himself, but he knew it was necessary. Sarah stayed with him, offering comfort and strength. At the safe house, the FBI prepared for the final operation. They had enough evidence to arrest the criminals and stop their dangerous activities. Sarah and her team worked quietly and carefully to avoid mistakes. Jason watched the news with hope. Reporters talked about the FBI's efforts to fight crime in the town. He felt proud of Sarah and her courage. He also felt scared for what might happen next. The day of the operation arrived. Sarah and the FBI moved quickly to arrest the criminals. There were tense moments as the criminals resisted, but the FBI succeeded. The dangerous group was finally behind bars. Jason was safe, and the threat stopped. He could return to his home and slowly begin to rebuild his life. But the experience had changed him forever. He knew life would never be the same. Sarah and Jason's relationship had also changed. Trust grew stronger between them, but the secrets and dangers had left marks. They talked about the future with hope and caution, knowing that some wounds take time to heal. Jason learned valuable lessons about courage, trust, and love. He understood that sometimes life brings unexpected challenges, but facing them with strength can lead to new beginnings. Sarah continued her work, protecting others and fighting crime. Jason stood by her side, ready to face whatever the future held. Their story was one of danger and hope, fear and courage, endings and new beginnings. It showed how even ordinary people could become heroes in their own way. After the criminals were arrested, life slowly began to change for Jason. The threats stopped. The strange phone calls ended, and the feeling of being watched faded away. Jason could finally breathe a little easier. He returned to his small home in the town, but things were not the same as before. The quiet, peaceful life he once knew had changed forever. Jason spent many days reflecting on everything that had happened. He thought about how a simple meeting with Sarah had turned into something so complicated and dangerous. At times, he felt overwhelmed by the experience, but he also felt stronger. He had faced fear and uncertainty, and he was still standing. This gave him a new kind of confidence. Sarah remained a part of Jason's life, but their relationship was different now. The trust between them was deeper because Jason understood her work better. He knew that Sarah's job was hard and sometimes lonely. He admired her courage and dedication to protecting others. Sarah, in turn, appreciated Jason's patience and support. They both knew that love was not always easy, especially when it came with secrets and risks. Jason learned to be more careful and aware. He paid attention to his surroundings and stayed connected with the FBI team to ensure his safety. The experience had taught him important lessons about trust, courage, and the value of honesty. He was no longer the quiet man who lived alone. He was someone who had faced real danger and come through it. With time, Jason started to rebuild his life. He went back to work at the hardware store, but he also began to explore new interests. He joined a community group and started making new friends. He wanted to live fully and not let fear control his life. Sarah supported him every step of the way. The town itself changed too. The criminals' arrest brought a sense of relief too. The community felt safer, and the local businesses began to grow. Sarah's work had made a real difference. Jason was proud to be connected to that change. One evening, Jason and Sarah took a walk in the park where they had once shared happy moments before the danger came. The air was cool and fresh, and the lights of the town twinkled in the distance. Talked about the future and the dreams they still held. There was hope in their voices and smiles. Jason realized that even though the past was difficult, it had brought new meaning to his life. He had learned that sometimes unexpected challenges could lead to growth and new beginnings. He was grateful for Sarah's presence and the chance to build a life together. Sarah promised to keep working to protect others, but she also promised to be honest with Jason as much as she could. They knew that the road ahead might still have challenges, but they were ready to face them together. Their story was one of courage, trust, and love that grew even in the darkest times. It showed how people can find strength in each other and in themselves when life becomes difficult. Jason's life was no longer simple. It was full of hope and new possibilities. He had faced the unknown and found a way forward. And with Sarah by his side, he was ready for whatever the future might bring.